Hello there and welcome to another insightful episode of African Student Voices only on AAU TV. We are coming to you live from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities, Accra, Ghana, and I'm your host, Agyemang Okyere Darko. Please do well to follow us on our social media handles, AAU_TV on Twitter, and also the Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube for more of our content. Do well to bring in your comments, contributions, share your ideas with the African Student Voices group on Facebook so we can also benefit from your idea anywhere you may be in the African continent. You know, you may bear with me that enabling peoples to be very proficient with spoken language, to be very creative and outspoken, boils down as the major goal of education. And this will help pupils to have reflective thinking and be of great resource to the industry. However, what is the great brain behind this goal? Is to have a great, well-designed, very powerful teacher education system that will boost this goal to its reality. So today we're discussing the teacher education and its progress, the prospects and challenges in the African continent. And today I have a great guest with me to help me discuss this to the latter for you to appreciate. But before I introduce to you who the guest is, we'll have to go for a quick pause. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
One of the oldest universities in Sudan is the University of Khartoum. It is endowed with a lot of wildlife, and it comes as no surprise that the university has a zoo and a flourishing school farm. The zoo houses different types of reptiles, mammals and birds such as different breeds of snakes, monkeys, tortoises, crocodiles and many more. The university farms located at different parts of Sudan boast of exotic plants and animals. The agronomy and the horticultural departments have different varieties of plants and flowers, as well as well-equipped laboratories. On the farm are also cattle that supplies the dairy and the meat needs of the university and its communities, as well as other animals such as camels and donkeys. The university zoo and the farms are a must visit for everyone visiting the University of Khartoum.
Hello there, you're welcome back to African Student Voices. If you just joined us, it is African Student Voices only on AAU TV, the place where students' contributions are brought to your notice for you to appreciate what students also do in the continent. And today we're discussing the teacher education and its progress in the African continent, the challenges and our prospect. With me in the studio is Mr. Bosomtwe from the Accra College of Education in Ghana. Bright, welcome to African Student Voices.
Thank you, Mr. Okyere.
Great. Bright, I'll begin with a very profound question, okay? And it's about, I know that the teaching profession isn't just an honorary profession. It's a profession that balls on calling. And therefore, if you have the calling that strong in you, you have no choice but to walk in selflessly to go and teach. In your case, share with us something little about the inspiration. What inspires you to be a teacher?
Back at the basic school, I was inspired with something that I wanted that some days to come, I'll be a person to inspire others to do what is right.
Okay.
Because I saw myself to be a motivational speaker
Okay.
to others. I once organized a group of students, spoke to them on an issue, which I changed their lives then. And so I saw myself that at least with that, I can change the lives of a lot of people in the country. And that is what made me to move into the education sector.
Great. That's amazing. Now you are in the sector. Now you are in the pipeline about to come out and actually do the real thing you wish to do. But we're looking at the status of education in Africa. Let's look at the nature as of now. If you were to count on the strength of the educational progress or teacher education progress in Africa, what would be your analysis or what would be your say about it? How is it?
To me, I look at it that Africa is lagging behind because of this education issue. Because normally what I know is that it is from one point to another.
Okay.
At least as a teacher, I learn. Then what I learn, I go out to impart it into the learners there.
Sure.
But here is the case, I do not get the best knowledge in what I'm supposed to do. And so I go there and do things that I'm not supposed to do there. Because one thing that you as a teacher, there are some things you need to know. Because we are looking at it that we are saying for Sustainable Development Goal 4, it's talking about inclusive education for all.
Yes.
So inclusive, it means that it need to cut across. Everything need to be standard.
Sure.
With worldwide things that happens. But here is the case, our type of education is limited to some point. That is a content-based thing that we do. Because what is supposed to happen is that what you teach should be from a good ground. At least the knowledge you get should be practical one.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be an abstract one where you go to the class, you just start talking and then you leave. What do the student get from it? And so, to me, if we are to look at things, the curriculum need to be changed. The teachers' education curriculum need to be changed. Because that is the main thing. But you go on by planning for the learners, forgetting that, well, in Africa, what we see things to be is that we see the teaching education to be something mere. That is how we look at it to be. And so we don't put much attention in it. But that is not the case. Because I'm the one who is going to impart knowledge into the learners.
All right.
So why is that you don't firstly look at my curriculum before you try going to look at other people's own? And so the teachers' curriculum need to be looked at very well, because they will be the people going out to change the lives of the people who are there. At least the critical thinkers that we want, they will be the people. So if you don't start from scratch, from the lecture hall, by getting all these ways as to how you'll be able to mold someone to be a critical thinker, then when you go in the classroom, what are you going to do? That will be something which will not help us. And that is not helping Africa too. And that is why we are not developing.
That is really deep. But we'll take it from the teacher perspective. Now, we're looking at the goal. So the goal is that we have students who are outspoken, who are very creative, open-minded, intellectual, and a whole lot of good things. But the question is, what makes it possible as a teacher who is well-vested, who is well invested into? So the investment into the education sector is wide and made rich. But let's start from some very important qualities of a good teacher. We're beginning from the teacher characteristics and classroom level input. As a teacher, what are some of the features you should bear to make you the ideal teacher, to impart the ideal knowledge for the students?
As a teacher, one most important thing you need to display in front of your students, you need to be disciplined. Okay. Because you're a role model. They look at you. At least anyone who sees you, your appearance will let anyone who sees you to know that this is how you are. Because your appearance talks much about you. But if you get into the classroom, your students are there, they are looking at you. And then at least another characteristic too you need to also look at it is that class control is something which is very important. Yeah. Because sometimes as a teacher trainee, I go to a class to observe teachers teach. The teacher is in front of the board teaching. Students are also doing their own thing. So you need to have control over the students who are in a class. And that is very, very important, because whatever happens in the class, that is what the students go out to do. And so if you come to the class and you are not able to control them to do what is right, because you are standing in front of the board teaching, the student is also doing something else, it means that the knowledge you are trying to give to the student is not ready. So you need to have all these things in place, because supervisors will come in, they will check this, and they will come and you are not doing the right thing. You are doing your own thing. And so much attention should be on your students. So that's why some cases a teacher will be in a class and the students are fooling. What he does is that he just stands, look at them. At least someone who is wise, and then a teacher stops and looks at you you will know that definitely something is wrong.
Sure.
So the class becomes quiet. But there are some teachers who don't care. That my job is to come and then teach. I'm in the class, I'm teaching. So whatever you do is not part of my business. And that is no good, which is not happiness. At least make sure that each and every student in the class should gain something from what you'll be doing that day.
Okay. Let's look at teacher professionalism and conduct. This is something that has been, let's say, downplayed and tarnished for some years now. Teachers go out there, are churned out to various schools, and are not exhibiting that professionalism and conduct that were something they actually pledge allegiance to. That when they go out there, they will uphold the good name of the profession and impact the right professionalism. So what is wrong with teacher professionalism and conduct in Africa?
Professionalism, as we are talking about right now.
Sure.
Once I read a documentary on this same professionalism.
You watched it on YouTube?
Not on YouTube.
Okay.
I went to Google and then I found something there to read for myself.
Okay.
And what I saw was that you get to know that what the teacher who is standing there is about doing, what he learned from the training college or the university he attended. Mm-hmm. That same thing that is bringing into the class.
Okay.
So it means that the teachers, as they start with their training, they need to be well equipped. Because you can't come to the class to do things anyway. You are coming from somewhere. At least the ground you are bringing knowledge to students. And so the professional thing that you need to know, you need to do as a teacher should be there. When you come, if it is content you have to deal with, you talk about it. If it is the practical aspect you have to look at it, you deal with it as it's supposed to be. Because as a professional, let's look at it in the form of the medical doctors. At least they do their work as they are supposed to do it.
Yeah.
But in Africa here, teachers don't do that. They come to the class, a teacher will not even come to the class early. The teacher will do things that he's not supposed to do in the class. As a teacher, why should you be in the class and have phone call? And that is not best. It also boils onto the conduct. A teacher, you don't come to the class drunk. A teacher, you don't fornicate with your students. And that is very bad. Recent informations we get, all these things are part. That students have affairs with their teachers. And that is very bad. It's not happening. And the conduct need to, that is why I admire Ghanaian structure now, that we have the national standard, teacher standard, that each teacher should abide with. Because that is the standard that through the Lances exams, they will use to assess you, and then all the things you do in a classroom will also be assessed based on the standard. And so it's a good plan that the government has also initiated.
Can you share with us some of the standards in the documents released by government to guide teachers?
We are talking about professional knowledge, professional values, and then attitude,
okay,
and the professional practice.
Okay.
So when you get to the class, what are you going to do? What knowledge do you have in what you are going to impart in the student? Some of the values that you need to know as a teacher. All these things are within the standards that we are talking about.
All right, there. If you just joined us, it's getting interesting on African Student Voices, and we're discussing the teacher education and its progress in the African continent, the challenges and prospects. And we just mentioned that there's now a document, a policy document guiding teacher trainees or teachers in Ghana. Perhaps, I think, the African continent, we may have some of these documents around. And it's about professional values, professional knowledge, and also professional practice and conduct. And we'll be back after this short pause and go deep into these values and see how they are showing out or how they are helping structure teachers in the continent. We'll be right back.
Botswana Accountancy College is a business school that was set up over 2 decades ago to contribute towards the human capital development in Botswana and beyond. BAC has over 20 years diversified its product portfolio to offer accounting, business, leisure, management, and ICT-related programs at undergraduate and postgraduate levels, as well as consultancy short courses to augment professional skills. In achieving this diversification, the college has partnered with UK-based universities of Derby, Sunderland, and Sheffield Hallam University, as well as professional bodies such as SEMA, Beaker, AAT, ACCA, CIA, Cisco, Microsoft, SAP, ESA, and SIPS to allow our graduates to have a globally recognized qualification and be globally competitive. To learn more about BAC, contact us on 3953-062 in Gaborone or 241-0558 in Francistown, or visit our website on www.bac.ac.bw. Also, you can visit our social media pages on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. BAC, celebrating over 20 years of creating business leaders.
Welcome back to African Student Voices on AATV. If you just joined us, we're discussing the teacher education and its progress in the African continent, the challenges and the prospect. I have with me Bosomtwe from the Accra College of Education and discussing this topic to that time. Right, before we went for the pause earlier, we were talking about the policy document that had been released to guide students or student trainees, teacher trainees in Africa, also in Ghana, on how to deliver accordingly on their role. And the first one was about professional knowledge. Can you help us with some understanding about the professional knowledge? What goes into it, and what is the role of the teacher trainee in acquiring that knowledge?
The professional knowledge, as I made mention of earlier, whatever is in the content, the curriculum that you are going to at least impart into the student, you should have some in-depth, insightful knowledge about what you are going to teach.
Okay.
Because if you are talking about phone and you don't have knowledge about the phone itself, how it operates, you go and then mess up in the class.
Yeah.
It means that you also go. That's why a student who is very wise will ask you a question and then you just tell them that you will come back after break and come and answer the question.
Right.
And that is not the best. At least you need to have the knowledge in what you are going to do in a class.
Okay, so that's the professional knowledge.
Yes.
Let's now go to the professional values. What actually makes the professional values?
The values, as we are saying, we are talking about the conduct of the person. Because there are certain things as a teacher you need not to do. There are certain attitude you need not to put in front of your students, because they will be picking what you do. That's why sometimes students after lessons will just come around and just be giggling about what the teacher did in the class.
Okay.
And so you need to at least plan yourself very well before you come. There are certain things you need not to do it, and which will not be good for the students too. So
a teacher goes to class and then whilst teaching pass a comment that is quite political and perhaps turns the students, tries to perhaps run campaigns in the classroom. Do you find that appropriate in the classroom?
That is very bad. As a teacher, you are not a politician. Your main work is to impart knowledge based on the curriculum. So you go there and try to do your own thing. And that is very bad. So your supervisor comes in and then sees you into that. He can question you on it. And so it's a bad thing to do by swerving away to that side, talking about politics. You are not a politician. You know the profession you are in it. And that is a different profession. So what do you talk about it? Does it have, if it has a connection with what you are teaching, it's okay. But if it does not, you don't go touching on it.
So professional knowledge, professional values, what is the other one?
And then the practice.
The practice, that's professional practice. Okay, so what goes into professional practice?
Professional practice, when you get to the class, how are you going to impart the knowledge into the student?
Okay.
Sometimes there are things you do. You need to do it in groups. If you are teaching them, some teachers come to the class, instead of them standing in front to deliver to the student, you will just be roaming in the class, and that is not the best, because they are all looking at you. So you stand in front, and then you give out the knowledge. So these are some of the things you do in the class that will let us know this is a professional teacher. Because there are certain things you don't go to the class and give note to a student to copy on the board. You do it yourself. Because the student might not know that this thing I'm writing is wrong, but you know it yourself. So you practice it in a way that you are supposed to do it. So you come, if it is your marker that you take, you come, you take it, then and you write on the board. You don't give it to a student to do it.
It's a very long time. I think I saw teachers writing notes on the board.
It's true.
It is still going on. We still write notes on the board like that voluminous to copy.
We still do it.
That is serious. So now let's talk about the role of other stakeholders to help these three-pillar standards to work. Is there any challenge for teacher trainees in actually adopting these models? They are not bad. I mean, professional knowledge, professional values, and professional statistics are good to help make you the right model in the class. But is there any challenge picking these models for life?
Oh, for now, it was enrolled just some months, and so in-depth knowledge on it, the teacher trainees have not gotten it. But there is no challenge in working with it. I know it's not for only teacher trainees, but in-service and pre-service, at least those who are out, all the stakeholders in the education sector, they are also part. It covers everybody who tries to move into the education sector. And so, if you look at the challenge, it means that we just throw it somewhere. There are no challenge in facing what is the reality. Okay,
let's talk about the issue of teacher trainee capacity building. I mean, all over the African continent, we find that sort of suppression. That's the room to expand in knowledge, the room to expand in strength, in capacity for teacher trainees are really that diminished. What is the real issue, and what do we look out for change for on that?
Truly, we need support. Because if you come to my institution, for instance, recently the government ruled out this BA program. And this BA program is in such a way that normally the diploma side, they use the normal classroom side. But the BA programs is not like that. You need a large room, but you come, so it's a building that we are having, the story building, a two-story building block that we're having. We have to break part of those rooms up there, which is not even good, because the engineer did it in a way that it will last for a longer period of time. But now we have to clear parts so that it will be a large room. And so even if the tutor wants to organize them for a group work, he can't do it. You come, the room is not well equipped. And so the teacher will have to force himself, shout on top of his voice. And one main important thing that we need to also look at it is that the tutors are not enough to ensure that one statistics I recently read was that UNESCO came out with some this information that in Africa here, if you are to look at the student-teacher ratio, 42:1. That is very bad. How can one person look at what is right for all these 42 people? And that cannot be possible. From my point like this, you have about 81 students that one teacher is supposed to cater for.
What do you find ideal? What is the ideal ratio?
The ideal ratio was 42:1. And so it means that if you want to group these people, even with their markings or with anything you want to do with them, you find it difficult. Because, for instance, you've given them tests. These 42 people, you need to read it. What is the ample time that you are getting? At least what also benefits or what motivation are you getting in doing this? Because the teacher is not well motivated. He goes out to do a different thing. And so much attention, because you, the teacher, you need to look at it, mark the student work. But some teachers don't do it. They don't mark, they give it to someone to do it on their behalf, because they have different work to also attend to. And that is not helping at all. Looking at the the size of the room, the lecture hall, very small. And so if you want to do anything in the room, you find it difficult. We need facilities. The environment needs to be serene. As a physical education student, you ask me, how many times have I been to the field to train? I've not been to the field. Just because you have one teacher who is even teaching more than 4 courses. So we need tutors too. The facilities are not well equipped. Projectors need to be there. When the teacher comes, we need to get these PA systems in the room. Because when the teacher is there and teaching, whatever he says, those who are behind don't get it. So are they not also part of the class?
Yeah.
They are part. So what is happening? And all these things, we need to look at it. But the employer is also not looking at it. And then it's bringing all the suffering in the education sector.
Let's look at the ratio. So if 42:1 is not ideal, then what do you find appropriate?
To me, I look at it that the class should be of a small size.
A smaller size.
A smaller size.
But you have no idea a range. Let's say, how many pupils do you think a teacher should be given to take care of?
Oh, if there are 10 in number, it's okay.
10:1.
10:1.
Do you think 10:1 would actually help? Can Africa actually produce that number?
Why can't we? At least we have a lot of people who are rolling. Recently, in my institution, my principal told me that the number of people who apply to come to level 100, they were about 1,000 plus. But you could not absorb all these people because the facilities are not there.
Okay.
So it means that if we are to look at it that we are the ratio, the student-teacher ratio, we want it to be 10:1. We can do it because there are a lot of people who are coming. Unemployment, some are even still in the house. Till now, they've not gotten a job. So what are we saying? That people are not there to avail themselves for the work?
But the quality of the profession also needs to be protected. I mean, many people want to just pass or enter any profession because it is available. But do you think that should be left agile, or we need the best out of the many?
It's true, the quality is very, very important. Where are we gaining the quality from? We gain it from the classroom. But you come to the classroom is not well equipped. The teacher there finds it difficult imparting the rightful knowledge into the students. And then one main important thing too is that now with these licentiate exams, like I said, it will sieve the bad materials and we will be getting the good ones into it. And so the quality we are looking at is also boils onto this ratio that we are talking about. Because as a teacher, you need to have ample time with your student. Teach them, you need to move one student to the other. This is how you are supposed to do it. If it is mathematics, you go, do it this way. But you have 42 people. How can you do all these things? So you just come, stand in front of them, do what you think you can do, then you leave the rest out.
Well, okay, so let's talk about something really, that's part of it. Improving qualification. I mean, a brief talk about that. How can we improve teacher trainee teachers qualification?
To improve on the teacher qualification, like I said, we need to get the facilities. The resources are very, very important. And the curriculum that the teachers use, the teacher education, the curriculum they are using, there need to be some change, a radical change in it, so that it will also move with the world as a whole. At least it need to be practical, not always the content. Our focus in Africa here is on the content, and that is not helpful.
You actually are calling out that more practical moments or more proof of practice should be more than the content focus. Is that your point?
That is my point.
That teachers should be allowed to do more practice. Okay. Let's now also talk about the point of what you look out for to change. If you were to just tell 3 strong changes you want to have happen in the teacher training education, what would it be?
1, my main concern will be the curriculum that we use. It shouldn't be content focused, at least it needs to be practical. And then 2, the resources, as I earlier said, need to be there. That will help us to do the work. And then 3, there are certain things which is happening in the sector that need to be changed. And so I admire the idea that now with these licensure exams, the teachers will come together. You have the medical students, the doctors, they have one association.
Yeah,
but if you come into the teacher education sector, that is not how the case is. You have NAT, you have NAGRAT, you have this and that. It means that we are dismantled. At least we all come together and fight for a common goal.
Great. So it's been amazing with me with Bosomtwe from the Accra College of Education. He's the SRC President, and he has shared so much of the progress we find in the education, teacher education sector in Africa. Some great information. And what really inspires me is the fact that there are some great models or policy outlines that are going to help structure the teacher profession in Africa. And we're going to just talk about them quickly: the professional knowledge, the professional value, and the professional practice. And I believe that teachers out there are inspired. But you know, Bright, one more thing. What are you also doing as teachers now? Even though conditions are not that rosy, what are you also doing to turn things around? Because you need to also be on the spot to make things happen, even though you don't have everything at your disposal. What do you do to turn this around?
What we have tried doing is, at least we go for lectures. We are trying our best that since now the things are not there. You go to some basic schools, some teachers use their own money in getting teaching learning materials to teach their students. At least the teachers who are there, they are also helping. But the help need to come from somewhere.
Okay.
That will motivate us to do much work, because we are learning. We know that we want to learn, gain something, and then go out and then give it out to the students out there. And so I didn't even expect it to be before I enrolled into the teacher training college. If you come and you see students move, always, they are all around the campus, just trying to do research. They go around learning a lot that the teacher trainees are doing. And the teachers too in service, they're also doing very well. Because like I said, a teacher using his own money to get teaching learning materials for the class, it's not an easy thing. How much do you gain the month, and then you use part for all these things? So to me, to my best of knowledge, a lot is being done by the teachers.
Great. And I appreciate all teachers all over the continent for all your selfless practice to help impart knowledge at all costs, even when it costs you to even bring your last of resources to bring the quality on board. However, it's a call to all agencies, government, stakeholders, NGOs, all over the continent to also bring their support in. Because when we're united, we are more stronger. Bring your support into the teacher trainee education so we can provide more resources, as Bright mentioned, more resources, more capacity building, so that the future of the African student will be brighter and much brighter. Thank you very much for watching African Student Voice on AAU TV. I was your host, Agyemang Okyere Darko, and I want to have you watch me same time next day or next week on more episodes on the contributions of students all over the continent. Stay tuned for more programs on AAU TV. Thank you very much. Bye.